All right. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everyone can hear me out there. Happy to be here with you guys. Just looking at getting us started here. So this is the Atlanta Mobile Developers Group.
Hello, everyone.
And so just give me a few seconds here, and I'm gonna
Happy to be
try to get everything set up. My goal today really is to kind of relaunch this group. I know that a lot of you have been waiting. This is probably the third time I tried to schedule this meeting. I'm so sorry about that. It's been a bit crazy on my end, just with work and with just some things that are happening, in life, and so it's a little bit tough for me to get the meeting going here before. So really excited that I actually do have it going now, and we can actually talk about this group. So really excited about it. My name is Joe Sumter. I lead the Atlanta Mobile Developers Group, and I'm going to actually go through today a few things. One is, a little bit about the group, where we're at now. I think the last time we really had an in-person meeting was really back around COVID times. It's been a little while. We've done some virtual stuff, but really we haven't met together as a group. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how we're going to go forward here this year and getting together in person. So that's one thing. Second thing I want to go over really is just a little bit about some of the focus areas of the group. I really want to get you guys feedback on what you want this group to be about. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Third, we'll go over some of the sponsors. We have a new sponsor that's going to be hosting our space going forward. So definitely want to talk about them. And then finally, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about CES. I'll show you some highlights from CES. I think that would be interesting to you guys to see some of the new emerging technology, since CES is not an open conference that everyone can go to. So let's get started. I'll go ahead and kick up our PowerPoint here. Let's minimize this. All right. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see me. All right. So as I mentioned, we're the Atlanta Mobile Developers Group. It's a group that's been around for a little while. I took over it probably in about maybe 2020 or 2019. It's a group that's been growing for a little bit, and it's focused really on a few core things, which I'll go over here in a minute. But first, hey, if you guys are in the chat, let's start with, say hello, say where you're from, start to connect together as a group. One of the cool things about this group and some of the meetings that we've had in the past is that we've got together. We've had sponsors that come in to do things that are very interesting, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And we've also just made it more of a group about connecting all of the mobile developers or mobile insights that we can share with one another here in the Atlanta area. So say hello, say where you're from. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to see the chat, but make sure you're engaged with one another, because that's what we want to start with for this group. So for me, again, I said my name is Joe Sumter. Full name is Joe Desaya, which you'll see here. I have about 20 years of developer experience. I've been leading tech teams or leading development for a number of years, really around from a mobile standpoint as well. Built mobile apps in Android, iOS, even with the BlackBerry OS. I've done some apps on that as well, because I've really been more in the innovation space now. So have a lot of experience building mobile, building desktop and web, even building for smart TV. So building different types of software and games. So we'll talk a little bit about that as far as how that will relate to the group, because I see this group as being very dynamic, not just straight mobile. So my background, I've started a number of startups. I've been involved with nonprofits as far as like leading some of the development and innovation there, as well as been Fortune 500 companies like Home Depot, Starbucks, NCR. So I've been around for a little while, just learning, not only just building for mobile from a startup standpoint and just building your own mobile apps, which I've done that as well, but really from an enterprise level. So I'll be able to help, and we'll talk about as we build out different ideas and concepts that we can do as a group, whether we want to focus in on enterprise, whether we want to focus in on startup, whether we want to focus in on even small business. There's different areas on how you go about building a mobile app. So we'll be able to integrate some of that into the group and assign and have different events featuring each one of those areas. And finally, I have a number of patents on innovation concepts, just something to know about as far as thinking outside the box. I do a lot of that, and just can help with that as well as we think through some of the new emerging ways to leverage some of the tech that's coming out, like AI, like some of the other stuff that's not as popular anymore, like NFTs and blockchain and stuff like that. There's different ways that we can incorporate that into a mobile app development. And so, I just have that mind for thinking through that. So we'll be able to do some of that as a group together. All right. So the number one goal really for this group is that we want to be the number one resource in the greater Atlanta area for mobile developers. For a mobile developer, a lot of times it's kind of, you're kind of, I don't want to say isolated, but you're kind of focused in on your craft, right? And so it's really difficult to find some of the resources you need and stay abreast of some of the new toolkits and things that you can integrate into your mobile development lifestyle or development life. So I'm hoping that this group will be that number one resource for mobile developers, and we'll be able to attract different types of mobile developers, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute from a resource standpoint as well as from a sponsorship standpoint. And then we'll also be able to share with one another and build things together. So that's the goal of this group. Definitely looking for some more insight right now. Again, I'm the one heading up this group, and I'm looking for help, looking for insight in different areas and where we can go to as a group, which I'll talk about here shortly. And so, I'm looking more for us to be the number one in this area for mobile developers. So as part of our history, some of the work that we've actually done in the past has been kind of focused in on how do we help, again, mobile developers become great at their craft, right? Some of the areas we looked at is integrating new areas. Like we had a presentation by Russ Faustino, who kind of talked about integrating mobile into blockchain when that was popular a couple years back. I've had sponsors come in from across the world. The sponsors you see here on this slide are from Samsung. They actually flew in. They brought in some swag for us. They were able to present some information on the Tencent platforms, what they were trying to push for mobile development at that time. And so there's just different ways that we've actually had a number of presenters focused in on either a particular vendor, a presenter who comes in talking about a specific emerging tech or new tech, as well as having corporate sponsorship. Like this event was actually held at NCR at the time because I was connected there. So we have a lot of history of driving in new ideas and again getting support from the community, not only locally in the Atlanta area but abroad. And so right now we actually have over 3,100 members, which is really great. Really excited for everyone who's joined on today for sure. And we have a ton of members, but again, because the group has not been as active, we don't have all of the members really active in the group. So right now with this relaunch, I'm hoping to re-engage those members for us so that way we have a very broad and diverse group of mobile developers that we can work together and share and learn from. So the first thing that I wanted to go through really for us as a group is to kind of throw out some ideas of what I'm thinking that we can do as a group, and then hopefully get some insight from y'all either in the chat or I'll send this out as well as a deck to the overall mass group. But I want to go through a few ideas of where I see the group going, right? So the first idea is lesson development and planning. And really what that means is that we will, as a group, try to actually learn from one another about the different platforms that are available, right? So that whether that's React Native, whether that's, like I said, I mentioned Tencent before. I know that's not as sexy or popular. Whether it's AI, mobile development, just different ways that we can actually set up and learn together. And so in the past, I've actually had either various vendors bring in experts or even participants or members who are part of the group who want to present on what they're working on and different tools and things that they can suggest to the group for building things out. So I've gone and done lessons with vendors or sponsors who are interested in promoting their tech or like I said, some of the members of the group presenting some of the things that they've done. So I think that's a great idea for us to, as a group. That's part of the core for where we want to be, so that way we can be one of the number one resources for mobile development. The second thing I want to mention is hackathon challenges. I think as a group, one of the challenges as a mobile developer, again, is finding people to collaborate with, to work with, who are in that scale. A lot of, when I was working in corporate, usually there was like a small group of us who were mobile developers, and each one of us had our specific area, whether it's Android, iOS, or whatever, or even if some like some of the cross-platform language we had there. So it was really tough to kind of have those buddies that you want to actually do a hack with, or do some side challenges with, or do some coding with. So one of the cores for this group is to kind of do some hackathon challenges together. One of the newer ones that's out now is actually the MetaQuest challenge that's out now, using the Quest 3. I think it'll be interesting for us to do. You know, you can win $1 million as a group, supposedly, but it's not necessarily about the money. It's more about trying to see how do we work together, how do we collaborate, how do we learn from one another by doing some hacking together. So one of the ideas I have up here. Would definitely love some feedback on what y'all think about that. But we have particular vendors or sponsors who would definitely love to feature us or feature some of their tech within the group. We can hold hackathons at our sponsor location, which I'll talk about here shortly, and just look at ways that we can actually learn and grow by doing within the group. So finally, I mentioned, not finally, but the next one, idea 3, is really sponsors and speakers sessions. It kind of relates to what I just mentioned with the hackathons and with some of the other stuff, but really by having sponsors and speakers who are able to present to the group, that gives us some funding for the group. Right now, this group is either going to be self-funded by the members, or I've provided some funding as well for certain things. And usually we'll have, like some food, or we'll have drinks, or certain, even prizes that we can win. And a lot of that comes from our sponsors. And so our goal for this group is to actually have some variety of speakers that will present from who are experts in the industry, as well as having some sponsors from different platforms that are either fund for that month's session, or will be able to provide some additional sponsorship just to our group by being a sponsor of the group. So having some of those sessions by them will be something I'll be interested in, kind of help us grow as a group. All right, and then one of the other things I want to mention, which I think is the last thing here, really is around networking and jobs. Of course, right now is a tough time in the job market. There are a ton of layoffs going on right now. And so in order to combat some of the challenges of finding a new role, having a strong group to network with, a group where you can find out about new and upcoming jobs, people who are like-minded, people who are actually within the industry, knowing what's going on at their company, not only their company, but what's happening in their environment with different groups. I want this group to be a strong place for finding jobs. And in the past, I've actually had a lot of recruiters, a lot of other businesses who say, hey, we want to actually post to your group that we have these jobs available. So that is one of the things that I definitely want to make sure that we are focused in on and locked in on as a group, that we basically, again, are one of the number one places for mobile developers to find out about what's happening in the industry with some of the key networking of opportunities available, as well as what jobs are available for them, especially in these times when it's times of need and it's difficult to find jobs. And so again, those are my top 4. So really, really quick, lesson development and planning, hackathon challenges, speakers and sponsor sessions, as well as networking and jobs. Those are the top 4 ideas that I have right now. But I'm really looking for your suggestions as well. What are some things that you want to see in the group? What are other meetup groups that you're going to, or other events that you're going to, where you say, hey, if we had this, that would make me want to attend this group more often. I'm looking for your feedback, looking for your help as well, as we look through building out a strong team for management of this group. So please drop your suggestions in the chat if you can. If not, like I said, I'll show you how to contact me directly, either through Meetup or through my email address. All right, so that kind of gives you a broad overview of the group. One thing I did not have on here, which I probably should have mentioned, I'll try to create a slide for this, is that the goal right now is for us to meet once a month. And so I was hoping to start that in January. It didn't happen. Now we're here in March, the end of March. Our next meeting will be probably closer to the end of April, and we're trying to do mostly by the end of near the end of the month for our meetings. This particular meeting is a different type of meeting because it's actually one that we're doing virtually. But our ultimate goal is to actually go to a location for that our sponsor, which I'm about to mention here, has set up for us to go to do monthly meetings. And so if you guys want to know, our sponsor is Priority Commerce, and they are actually a payment and banking fintech that streamlines collecting, storing, lending, and sending money, helping businesses take advantage of revenue opportunities and to accelerate cash flow. So they are actually located in the Alpharetta area. I do not have the address up here. I will send the address out to you guys. But they're located in the Alpharetta area. And as you see, they have a very nice space for us to actually host our meetings. They have some vending machines. They have some areas where we can have drinks and stuff. And then they have foosball. So what the goal is going to be that we're going to actually try to meet once a month at this location. And then we'll actually have some good seating areas, some networking opportunities, and we'll set up some events at this particular area. So I will send out the information on the location, and I definitely want us to thank Priority Commerce for actually hosting us as a group. It's very nice of them to actually host us. They're not charging us. They're allowing us to, they're going to make special accommodations for us to kind of get together as a group and build and learn about mobile development. So I'll share some more information about them as we go forward here before we start our next meetings. And so we're not, in April, we're probably not going to meet in person there. May, the end of May, which I'll put on the calendar, will be our first event that we host there at Priority Commerce. So we'll be able to get in person, connect with one another, and learn what's happening in the mobile space. I do not have. I'm putting together the agenda for the rest of the year, so I don't have that in the slide deck. But there are a few things that we're going to talk about next. At the next meeting, I'll actually list out the agenda for what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. We actually have a few opportunities laid out. Some that's around learning about mobile development, other that's around just networking and connecting. And learn about specific events like this event. This meeting is going to be more a little bit about CES, but the next event I'll have some information about GDC and GTC where I went there. So we're going to start seeing some more, getting some traction, trying to see who shows up for the event, start networking, and so our next meeting is going to be a virtual again, and maybe in this format or maybe a little bit different, and then we're going to meet in person in May at Priority. All right. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that, again, looking at mobile development, there are a ton of tech stacks that we can look at. And so I just threw a few up here. Again, I would love for you guys to either leave in the chat or like I said, when I send the email out with this deck, share with me some of the tech stacks that you care about. Right now, AI is huge. So there's a lot of development leveraging AI. Just yesterday, I was leveraging, GitHub Copilot and trying to build out a game or an app within that. And so I think AI is going to be, and Replit is another one. It's going to be one of those things where we're going to have some information about certain tech stacks that we focus on. But if you look at from a mobile development standpoint, it's broad, right? So I want us, since we're going to probably start off as a little bit of a smaller group starting off with, I want us to actually say, okay, here are the core technologies that I'm working on, and then we'll be able to start off bringing in those technologies versus something that's like Chainlink that may not be as popular for some of you guys. So, again, looking for your feedback here. To start off with, I'm starting with some of the things that I am aware of. AWS, looking at ways that we can leverage that for mobile development. Unity is a big one because, and I'll talk about that in a minute, is that, I'm hoping gamification to be a strong part of this group. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And then Replit and AI and leveraging that for mobile development to speed up our development process is probably the things we're going to start off with. And then we'll get some feedback from everyone in the group and start seeing what are some areas that we want to focus on within the group. All right. So as I just mentioned, gamification is one of the areas that I'm looking at for us to kind of focus in on. As we look at going forward here in the future, it's not just building a mobile app because there's so many mobile apps. There's so many, there's a whole bunch of AIs, there's a whole bunch of things that are happening that are going on right now. But really trying to get people to be engaged with your mobile app is one of the things that having that skill set is going to enhance your ability to get employment as well as look at as you're building mobile apps, helps your mind think about how do I keep people engaged with the mobile app. If anyone uses Duolingo, that's a good example where they're teaching you about learning a particular language, but they're also gamifying it so that way you can stay engaged, and they're using different ways of doing that, whether it's reward points, whether it's connecting to your community or your friends, meeting certain milestones, seeing certain effects. So as we're building out and learning and growing as a mobile developer group, I want gamification and AI to probably be two of the core areas that we focus on as a group. And Yukai here was the head of Creative Labs at HTC, and he's worked at, I think, at Meta before and Stanford. So we're going to leverage some of his knowledge that we have from his Octalysis framework, which is what this is. And we'll be able to incorporate that into some of the things that we think about as we're building out and learning about becoming better mobile developers and growing together as an organization. All right, so those are the main things. Let me see if I'll see if I can quickly see what's going on in the chat. It's kind of difficult to see what's going on in the chat, if anything. I can't see that here. So, like I said, keep talking in the chat if you are, as well as if you're not. If you're seeing a replay of this, make sure I'll put my email there inside of the top of the description for the video, and then we can go from there. But for now, the next thing that I wanted to go through is kind of looking at some of the highlights from CES. So CES is the Consumer Electronics Show. It's the largest show for technology that happens, really for innovation technology, consumer electronics in the world. And so it happens in the beginning of the year, typically in January. Not everyone's invited to the show. You really have to be someone who's in the industry or someone who has media clearance or something like that to see some of the newer things that are coming out. So I wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that I saw at CES, just a few of the things. The reason being is that as mobile developers, one of the things that's happening is that there are a lot of different footprints of devices as well as platforms and ways of engagement that are coming out for consumers. A great example is that, now we have the Ray-Bans. Everyone is talking about that, right? That's a big thing. And smart glasses is taking off. And then you have things like, the Rabbit here was one of the things. I know Humane has one as well. Hopefully you guys can see this. But the Rabbit here as well for these kind of standalone, AI-driven devices. And if you look at electronic, a lot of the electronic vehicles that are coming out, electronic dashboards, there's a lot of things that are coming out that should matter for us as mobile developers because we're going to have to interact with them. Because right now the mobile device is really the center that is being used for connecting the people, not just to the brand, but to the devices that are engaging with the brand. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and I'll show some of the highlights here from CES to kind of relate to that. So let's see if I can get this to work. Hopefully you guys can see it. All right. So just randomly, I'll talk about a few things here. So this here is actually a trash can that's driven by AI. So it doesn't really relate as much to mobile, but it could. I mean, if you really think about it, you have your mobile device. It can let you know when the trash is ready, so you can put it in and it can go from there. But I just wanted to show you. Hope you guys can see this without. Show the audio is a good thing to put on. But you can see that this here is it's a basically AI-driven, dynamic trash can where you can deliver things. So again, very early, maybe not as sexy as you would think for a mobile developer to create apps for, but it's just something to be aware of that they're trying to actually build out. The next thing here, actually, I'm gonna skip that one. This is really just the future of boating, right? So it's a really elaborate boat that has a lot of AI built into it. And so this is a good example. So the reason I wanted to show this one is because if you really think about, as I was mentioning, gamification, right? And so, but you can see here that this boat actually is really a simulator of a boat. So you're actually learning how to drive the boat, learning how to avoid hitting things in the water, learning how to navigate and traverse the area. It gives you all the temperature. It gives you But like in this, I think in this boat, if you hit something, it like screens go red. So it's just different ways or different things that are coming out that as a mobile developer, you may need to build an interface that kind of connects to these type of devices. So just something to be aware of what's happening and going on. Here's an example of for a mobile developer, a type of tablet app that you would build for this particular display, right? So I wanted to show that. This one is very interesting because in this case, I'm not sure if I have a good English video about this, but again, looking at the future is that a lot of things in the future are going to be done remotely, right? I know we're getting back into that, bringing everybody back into the office. Oh, give me a second. But right now, these people here are controlling a CAD, a CAT device or a CAT machine remotely using their what we call a remote control that they have here for this. So it doesn't necessarily relate necessarily to mobile, but at a loose level, as you guys know, mobile IoT is one of the things that is becoming more prevalent. In my role at Starbucks, we were looking at different ways to how we can engage the customer when they walk into the door. How we use sensors? Can we know what's happening at the drive-through when the customer comes in? Can we connect that to a particular device? So this CAT is leveraging some of that IoT, and it's actually sharing some of the data back to this particular screen. And so as mobile developers, you kind of need to know how to use MQTT. You have to know how to integrate it with computer vision. So just things that we'll have to leverage as mobile developers. So it was interesting and something to highlight from CES. All right, and so in this one here is this is looking at the future, right? And so I know you guys see Teslas, you see the Waymos riding by themselves there in San Francisco. These vehicles that are self-driving, and so this particular vehicle has an actual display that actually can tell if you're paying attention or not, which you may have seen that in some of your cars, but it actually tells if you're drunk or not, if your eyes are looking to the side, I don't know if you can see here her eyes, it can detect whether her eyes are glossy or whether she's looking over to the side in the wrong direction. It can tell whether whether you're fully engaged in driving. It does sentiment analysis. So it's just something that's interesting to know, because all of this information again and data is going to have to be collected from a mobile standpoint as well as you build out as these machines and vehicles become more intelligent. You'll have to build out and know how to integrate with the data, leveraging AI, leveraging some of the reporting information that's out there in order to connect and know what's happening with the customer. So if they're doing this now on a vehicle, using your mobile phone and being able to do eye detection and being able to understand what's happening with that person who's holding it is one of those things that could be next. So it's just something to be aware of. This is just an interesting display. So this one is an actual vehicle. It's a quad, a drone basically. So you sit in here, you can fly up. I don't think anyone's really doing this right now. It's just a prototype. I think it actually works, but it's a prototype. And so I was just showing some of the blades and some of the interesting things that are there. But it's again thinking outside the box as a mobile developer. How would you monitor, manage, and engage with this type of device? How are you transferring data? How are you connecting it, whether it's Bluetooth or some other means, Wi-Fi? So just things of interest for thinking through as you look at the future of mobile development. This one is just a camera device here. So the reason this one's interesting is because they actually, I think it's called the Titan or the Insta360, but they actually had a person with a backpack with this camera on the back walking through, I want to say it was like the North Pole or something like that, and capturing images. And so again, thinking as a mobile developer, how am I have the images on the camera. How am I streaming those images to my phone? How am I then using computer vision, detecting objects and understanding what's happening? So just thinking outside the box as far as the future, these type of devices are going to be I mean, this is pretty extreme. I don't think not everyone's gonna be walking around with the stick on the back of their head, back of their backpack, carrying it and recording 360 degrees. But it's just something to think about as far as streaming video, audio, and interacting with your environment from a mobile developer. This is something to be aware of. This here is, again, one of the futures. Again, when I'm looking at gaming, this is the future of gaming, right? You've probably seen some of these before, but there's starting to be a lot more of these gaming rigs where people are actually playing these games and sitting in a seat in their house and trying to actually drive and do other things. And so, again, from a mobile developer standpoint, is tracking of data, interacting with this device, using what we call it, the sensors to know how the device is moving or how this platform is moving, are just things that you'll need to use and understand how to develop as a mobile developer going forward. All right, I'm gonna skip through that. Oh, this is an interesting one, and so I'll talk a little bit about this as well. This here, let's see if it doesn't really show as much as what it is, but this is actually a haptic suit, and so you can actually feel the vibrations of what's happening with you within the game. This is a haptic suit, but there's other. Let me see if I can skip through this. So this is again the haptic suit here. This is what he was wearing, right? And you can see these are the haptic suits that he's wearing up there. It has a little thing on his chest that can tell you the impact of what he's feeling. But the future, I skipped one. I'll come back to it. But the future of haptic is becoming more and more prevalent here going into 2025, and so. This here is actually a lifesaver that leverages haptic as well, so you can feel as you're interacting with people. Let's see if I can show what she's doing here. So she's waving it, and she's feeling like feedback from the device and from the impact. It's just a haptic saver. I'll skip through that. But as you look at mobile devices as well, laptop devices as well, they have haptic built into the laptop keyboard, right? And so as you're playing the game, you can feel the feedback from the laptop showing you as you interact with certain things. I think you have a Steam Deck and some other things over here. But again, looking at the future, as they're trying to make this haptic, the haptic sensors and the haptic computers smaller and smaller, you're going to get more of that. Here he goes. Here you can see the small. You're going to get more of that coming into your mobile devices. So experimenting, understanding what's happening in this space and how haptic is now moving, not just from gaming, but looking at wellness, looking at ways to interact. It's really hard to see some of this stuff, but it's gotten really small. You can put it in a ring, you can put it, in someone's devices. So as a mobile developer, these are things that you can learn, certain skills and certain things that you can learn, that you can kind of grow upon as these the devices and stuff become more prevalent here. And then let me go back one here. This is again interesting. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is it's a 3D display where you don't need glasses and you can actually look through it. It's kind of hard to tell here. I'll come back to that one because I think I'll share that one with you guys, the group, a different one. All right. And then let's see what else here. So let me see if there's other things from a mobile standpoint. This particular one, the reason I'm bringing it up is because if anyone got a Apple Vision Pro, the Apple Vision Pro is like $3,500. It's kind of pricey, and it's only for iOS. Well, if you have an Android device, this particular device is for Android. It's called the Play for Dream MR. And one thing that's great about it is that it's only I want to say it's $1,700. So it's a big price drop, and it's also on the Android platform. So again, as a mobile developer, and you're interacting with your boss and your team, and they're like, hey, we want to build something for iOS, but we're more of an Android-driven shop. You can actually get one of these and build a solution that's using spatial for Android as well. So just something to be aware of. Let's get through that. Well, let me see. I'm not sure if this actually. It's probably a quick video showing what it looks like. All right. Yeah, it kind of looks like the Vision Pro, so they actually did a pretty good job with it. Neural sensing. That's another thing that's, I'm not sure this is a good video or not, but you can see with these glasses, it actually detects what's happening within your brain using the stem of the glasses. So Again, looking at sensory data, understanding how to interact with that data is one of the things that's coming here from a mobile standpoint as well. As we continue to get more information from the user, whether it's through their clothes, through haptic, whether it's through their glasses, and the connectors, through for neural sensing. So it's just a lot of interesting things to explore from a mobile developer standpoint. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping we do as a group, right? And so before in the past, which I did not mention, we actually I would bring in devices, and so people can try it out. So if you didn't have to go and buy every device. You can actually try out the device inside with the group. You can actually experiment with some of the code, and we can kind of code and do some coding together. So that's one of the things that we can do that I think it would be very interesting, is doing some wearable development together with a mobile development group. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Definitely want to put that as one of the ideas that we have, and together we can do as a group. All right, so I'm going to speed through a few of these. Like I said, I didn't expect this to be too long of a meeting. I just wanted us to kind of get together and explore and talk and learn more about what's happening with the group. These are just more about gaming. This is an AI laundry robot. I just thought that was interesting. You can see you can put your laundry inside of there. It's really tiny. So I don't know how much use you can have. You can wash like your scarves is what they have there, but they do have these little tiny robots and stuff that are coming out that you can explore. Even this one here is a good one. So this is one of the tiny robots that they have there that they're trying to by TCL that they're trying to have come out, and you can have in your house. And if you saw the GTC event. And what they're saying there with NVIDIA, they're looking, even with Elon, he's talking about bringing out more robotics, right? And so as a mobile developer, again, these are ways where you can tap in and use the mobile phone, because as you're walking around or next to the robot's moving around within your area, it's just ways that you can leverage code and leverage the data to actually share that with the user. So you need to understand how to build and connect for that. So anyway, so we'll go through that. This one is actually I think it's Honda and Sony collaboration. I forget what it was called. It was Afila, I think that's what it was called. I don't want to don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was. And so you see here, this here is the iPad or a similar device that they have built into the car. You can build apps for it. So again, I kind of mentioned this earlier. I know we're a mobile app developers group. But I'm looking for ways that we can. A lot of the mobile devices and the mobile apps that you build are going to be cross-platform, right? You want them to expand, to grow, depending on which device you're on. You may be on the phone, but you want to interact with CarPlay, for example, or in this case, same thing. You can interact with CarPlay. You can interact with like I had some connections with Mercedes. They have their new immersive experience in their vehicle that you can interact with the mobile app. So as a group, I want us to explore some of those spaces, to build things together and to explore and hack together on some of these devices. So it's something fun to do, as well as something that improves your skill set. So when these things become popular, you'll be one of the few developers that understands and knows how to build for these new platforms. So it increases your job, ability. It gives you some projects that you're working on the side. It lets you learn and grow within your skill set. So really excited about doing some of that work as a group as well. All right. And then this one here, just wanted to mention was like so the way that gaming is going as well is that they're trying to make gaming more immersive. And so you can have location-based entertainment. And so thought this was interesting. This is something to be aware of, because I think that location-based experiences are going to become more prevalent. And again, how do we do that? That's going to be connected to your mobile app, because everyone has their mobile phone on them when they're moving around. So if you can create location-based experiences, or sensor-based experiences tied into your phone using Bluetooth or some other means of communication, whether it's Wi-Fi or something else, knowing how to develop and create code and build solutions for that, whether it's from enterprise level or startup level or whatever, is going to become more important. So just paying attention that's now moving on to this year, I think was for the PlayStation. So it's moving on to other platforms as well, of knowing where people are at and giving them specific experiences based on their location. All right. I'll skip through these. These are fine. This is more about LG and some of the new gaming devices that are coming out specifically for LG. But I'll keep moving on from that because that's not necessarily mobile develop. I just wanted to show this. This is like just one room of CES. Just wanted to show you how massive this thing was. So I think there's 140,000 people who came to this event last year. And so, again, I know, like it's not open to the public, but again, I think as a group, I was able to go as media. If there's interest as a group to go to some of these events, we can talk about it. We can figure out ways that we can come in as media and be focused completely on mobile potentially and some other things in order to kind of get these experiences so ahead of the curve what's happening in the industry from a mobile development standpoint. This one is just another one of these gaming rigs that you see, and so we'll see that. I mean, if you look at this, it looks like he's riding a roller coaster. I know it's not necessarily connected to mobile, but it's just something that's interesting in the way that everything's coming now with these immersive experiences. That's not really connected to mobile. This one I'll bring up, even though it's not necessarily related to mobile. I've been seeing a lot of these hologram type displays around, and a lot of them are allowing you to interact with them. This one was just a lady that was playing, but even with this one, it's just playing, and it's kind of hard to see this because of the fan. Okay, so really the way it works is that there's fans that are spinning really fast and they're showing LED and they're creating an experience, right? And so I actually have one behind me. I don't know if you guys can see. There's one behind me, but this here is kind of where the future is going. I know this has been around for a little while, but I'm starting to see more of these show up even at trade shows and even out in the public, where they're doing more of these immersive kind of 3D level experiences for engaging customers. And of course, the next leg on that is that, okay, I see that experience. And I actually see this sort of at the event, is that now I see that someone with a mobile phone is within that vicinity, and now I can change that experience or have them interact through that mobile device into my screen. So again, just something to be aware of, and just the way that things are moving towards from an immersive experience. This one is not really mobile related, so I'll keep on. But someone may ask, okay, what the heck is this? This is actually a massage chair, which is interesting. But they call it a healthcare robot. So it's supposed to provide information on your health, and you're supposed to lay in there, and it's supposed to help heal you. So it doesn't relate to mobile, but it's just interesting. Let me go. This one, again, doesn't necessarily completely relate to mobile, but it kind of relates to what I was just saying as far as like changing the experience of the world around you. And so as you're walking in with the mobile device, this screen can actually change. It looks like art, but it actually can dynamically change to what's happening in the environment. You can push different images from your mobile device to this. I think it's called paper something. I forget the name of it. I'll find the name of it. But it's actually a pretty cool. It looks like art, right? It looks pretty flat. Doesn't seem like it's doing anything. But if you come over here and you see this video, you see it changed, right? And this is here, it changing live to a different art image, right? And that's being pushed from your mobile device. And so, again, how do we interact with IoT devices? How do we interact with art and picture work and other things? These are things that we should explore as a group. So that way we have the skill sets to build for these new experiences that are coming out in the future. All right, this one I'm going to skip over. This one, it's just interesting to know that they now have a wireless TV, which, you don't have to plug it in. It's literally wireless. And so there's just, again, the world is growing. A lot of interesting things. You can put this in your backyard. It's 55-inch display. It's completely wireless. So a lot of interesting things as these things evolve. How do we interact with them? How do we build apps for them? It's just something to be aware of. So not really mobile related. Seen enough of these. These are cool projectors. This one is interesting because this is a projector that actually is it's a very small footprint projector. It's a trifold projector, real small. I don't know if I have this. I do have a video for this. Yes, and so you can see how this is projecting a pretty high quality image on a screen. And you can actually, the cool thing about this projector is you can play games from it as well, right? So again, looking at how do we stream content, how do we push video and games to these small footprint devices are things that we can explore and develop together as a group to see some of the skills that you need for doing that. Because there are different skills that you need for that. I think this shows a better example of so that's him playing the game. He's playing the Switch on that projector, and you see there's no lag. It's pretty fast. So it's like I said, the new ways of making immersive experiences or engaging experiences is very interesting. All right. So here's another one of the transparent sort of displays that you have here. I've been seeing these pop up in different areas as well. And again, how do we interact with those? How do we stream images to those from a mobile device? And how do we build apps that can actually leverage some of this data? So for location-based information is just things that we can learn. And so they have the fans that I showed you before, that kind of LED lights, and then they have this one, which is kind of a transparent display. So there's been some of these popping up, in different areas for retail. All right. So another thing that we can sort of work on as a group is really like drone navigation, drone connections, drone tracking, from a mobile standpoint, and being able to connect that to the user that's nearby. The number of drones coming out are increasing. I don't know if you've seen some of the really elaborate building design drones that are out there now. We're not necessarily looking at that, but as people start to leverage more drones, specifically around looking at industry infrastructure, looking at what's happening with some of the energy areas, and just looking at growing and expanding around, like even with real estate investing, for example, trying to track what's happening. I know we have some of these have their own handsets or their own visuals, but being able to build mobile apps and connect to these type of devices are something that we can do as well as a group, and kind of experiment with building our own drone from scratch, potentially with some of the mobile connectivity options that we have now. I will skip through that. This here is cardio mirror. Doesn't really relate to drones. I'm sorry, to mobile. Skip through that one. Okay, this one's interesting because, again, the future of interaction, right? You see, he's talking, and the mask is moving with his, and he's able to put when he goes yes, thumbs up, it says yes. When he says no, it goes thumbs down. So again, having the interactivity, right, and being able to control the screens of this device with your mobile phone and passing in data. I think this one, I want to say this one uses Bluetooth with MQTT. I'm not sure. I got to remember, but that this is where the future is going now. Just these type of interactive displays that people can use. You see here, he has his headset, and he actually has some audio, so it's listening in the background. So when you're talking, it actually listens to you, and the mouth moves to how you're speaking. So just interesting stuff that the way that the world is moving towards more immersive experiences. Now this is inside of this face that's more for kids and stuff, but if you can do it on that, then you can do it on more advanced devices. And I know that from a standpoint of enterprise, they're looking at how do we leverage AR, VR, how do we connect to certain headsets, how do we engage our we call it our corporate users in a way where they can interact what's happening in the retail space and know what's happening. And so some of that, the knowledge on how to build mobile apps to connect to these devices, will help in those realms as well. I'll skip through that one. Well, this one's interesting. I'll show you. All right, let me. It doesn't have really. Well, anyway, the way that this worked was that he was able to place a cup here, and it could determine who you were based on you placing an order for a drink and knowing what cup or what drink you were receiving. You put your name there and stuff like that. So that one's kind of interesting, and using personalization to understand what's happening with the counter in front of you. Let's skip through that. These were just information. There wasn't anything really mobile related, just kind of cool devices that are coming out. So I won't go over these because I know we're running short on time here. But let's see what we got. Was there anything else mobile related that I wanted to show here? No, that's about nails. This is about pickleball. I know, I'm sure everyone here is playing pickleball somewhere. That's a new thing. This is about robotics and helping people walk upstairs. Not really mobile related. This was robots. I mean, you can see a lot of robots that you can engage with and interact with. I think this one you can actually touch, if I remember right. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird looking robot, but it will play chess with you and kind of engage with you and answer your phone. So again, how do you connect your mobile phone to that so that way it can answer the phone? Was kind of interesting from that standpoint. All right, this is more robotics. I can't remember what this one was about. It was kind of interesting. I think it was just a robot you can play with, if I remember right. Yeah, so yeah, it can actually see you and interact with you. You see that? So you can actually play with it, which is interesting. Not really mobile related, but maybe tracking where the robot's at is something that's interesting that you can do from a mobile standpoint. This was a huge new type of, I can't remember if this was a vacuum. I can't remember which one this was. Sorry. This is a backpack. Again, more interactivity, sharing from your mobile device and displaying different screens of what's happening. It's kind of interesting. This is lawn care. This was vehicles. Okay, so I think these were the main things. I was trying to see if there was anything else that was mobile related that we cared about. Maybe this, I can't remember if this one uses computer vision or not, but for managing makeup. And so being able to have a AI model that's running locally on the mobile device is something that's interesting. In the past, I've actually built something that actually had your fingerprint that wasn't necessarily tied to you personally. It was just tied to a particular algorithm on the device. So there's this new ways that people are trying to leverage some of the ways of understanding what's happening with you as a person visually, as well as some of the sensory data for tracking what's happening from that standpoint. So that's interesting. I think those are the main things that I had here to show. This is coffee. Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to kind of share some of the information that we have here. I know, like I said, it's kind of difficult for me to see or hear what everyone's saying, but if there's any questions, I'll see if I can connect with you. Let me see if I can take a quick look on the chat. Can I see anything on the chat? Let's see. Can I see anything? No, I did not see anything on the chat here. So what I'll do is, I would love to get some feedback from y'all. I know it's kind of difficult. Can't do that now here in the chat. Leave it in the chat. I'll be able to respond and get information from that. If you want to connect to me, my email, let me see if I can put my email on here. All right, let's see if I can do that. So if you want to actually send me an email, I'm going to have you send it to sales@clevitate.com. So be sure to send me an email if there's any questions. That way you can, if you want to find out more about the group, if you want to participate to help out with growing the group, like I said, it's a restart of this group. I really appreciate y'all jumping on with me today. The goal is, as I mentioned, was just trying to make sure that we're engaging one another. We're growing as mobile developers. We're getting some networking together. We're growing and learning about new jobs and getting farther advanced in our career. So that's the technical standpoint, or just the career standpoint. But really, it's for us to have fun. Let's enjoy building mobile games. Let's see some of the new devices that are coming out and build stuff for it. Let's engage with the industry. Hopefully, my goal is to actually make sure that we have some type of sponsor, some type of interaction with what's happening in the industry, and then even giving back to charity and being able to give back from a mobile development standpoint. I know a lot of you guys want to contribute and help out. Like, we can work with nonprofits and do churches. We can do hackathons and do things to help out with nonprofits. So there's ways that we can give back as a group as well that I'm hoping that we'll be able to work forward with together. But in the meantime, I would love to get your feedback on ways that this group can benefit you, ways that this group can grow and continue to enhance some of your knowledge as a mobile developer, as well as ways that I can make sure that you guys are networking and engage with what's happening in the industry and what's happening with amongst one another together. So, sorry, I know the Q&A is not good in this platform, but send me some questions, send me anything, any details that you know, and I will be sure to share with you what's happening from the next date standpoint for us getting together. Most likely, our date for getting together is going to be sometime during the end of April, that last week of April. And so I'll send over some information on that, and I look forward to connecting with you guys soon. So, again, I know it's tough with this because we're not able to shake hands and get together. I'll find a way for us to kind of interact a little bit better next time. So, again, Joe Sumter here. Thank you guys for connecting with me. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person as we get our new location from Priority Commerce, and we'll be able to get together and hopefully, get a drink together, have some meals together, and learn and have fun together. All right. Thank you.